What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel for my review and breakdown of the first two episodes of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Heavy spoilers are to follow, so if you have not yet seen these episodes, click off this video now or proceed with the understanding that I'm about to spill a lot of information. So, the time has come. The long-awaited Kenobi series has officially arrived, and I am a very happy Star Wars fan. Okay, so before episode 1 actually begins, we get a recap of Obi-Wan's life, like his interactions with Anakin, how their relationship developed over the years, and ultimately Anakin's fall to the dark side, and then we jump into Order 66. We have a scene that we've never seen before of a Jedi Master training Padawans out on a balcony, and then the clones come out and they attack her. She protects the Padawans, she kills some clones, and then she ends up dying, and then of course we know that these Padawans probably all ended up dying as well. And then we make our way to Tatooine. Very early on, pretty much at the beginning of the episode, the Inquisitors arrive, and they are in search of a Jedi, but it's not Obi-Wan. They come there because there have been reports running rampant about a Jedi who's been living among the people in this city, and they actually weed him out pretty quickly, but he escapes, and he runs into Obi-Wan, or he seeks Obi-Wan out on Tatooine, just somewhere out in the desert, and Obi-Wan's interaction with this other Jedi shows how important it is to Obi-Wan that he conceals his identity. Obi-Wan initially tries to deny being a Jedi, but the kid pretty much seems to know the truth already, so Obi-Wan sort of caves, but at this point, he has completely reinvented himself in order to keep himself hidden, and he recommends that this Jedi do the same. And that kind of surprises the younger Jedi to some degree. He's sort of taken back by the fact that Obi-Wan has literally become this hermit, and he doesn't understand why. He doesn't understand why Obi-Wan is even there. But a little while after that, this Jedi ends up dying, the Inquisitors kill him, and they hang him in the city, where Obi-Wan frequently goes. That's where he keeps his Opie, that's where he goes to feed him, and this is also where he meets Uncle Owen. Now, Owen and Obi-Wan do have an interaction in this episode. As we have seen in the trailers, this is the scene where Owen asks Obi-Wan to leave him alone. He brings the toys that Obi-Wan had left outside of the Lars homestead for Luke back to Obi-Wan. He throws the toys on the ground and he tells him to leave them alone. It's also in this scene that the Inquisitors arrive in search of this Jedi who they haven't killed yet, the younger Jedi. They hadn't killed him at this point when Obi-Wan and Owen are having this conversation, but Reva, the third sister, threatens Owen's life. And Owen doesn't break, nobody breaks, nobody even knows that Obi-Wan is a Jedi, but he is actually there. He's watching this take place from the shadows, and Reva probably was actually going to kill Owen, but the fifth brother, one of the other Inquisitors, stops her, and then the Inquisitors leave. There's an interesting dynamic that we see very early on between Reva and the rest of the Inquisitors. Reva is very intent on getting Kenobi, but the rest of the Inquisitors, they've been looking for him for 10 years, and they've found nothing. They've sort of given up that hunt, but she is still determined to find him because she thinks it will earn her recognition from Darth Vader. And so we also have this other story unfolding away from Tatooine. We actually go to Alderaan and we meet a young Leia Organa. Now, this is something that I had suspected we might see, but I never thought the entire plot would revolve around Leia in the way that it is so far. It had crossed my mind, but I never really entertained it, but this is a very cool idea so far. I think it's great that this is the way that they've chosen to bring Obi-Wan out of hiding. Because toward the end of the first episode, Leia is kidnapped by a group of bounty hunters who were hired by the third sister to draw Obi-Wan out. The rest of the Inquisitors continue to tell her to forget about Obi-Wan, it's over, he's gone, but she remains intent on finding him. She knows that Bail Organa and Obi-Wan served together during the Clone Wars, so her hope is that in kidnapping Leia, Obi-Wan will feel the urge to come help his old friend, and he will come out of hiding. And that's exactly what happens. Initially, Obi-Wan actually refuses to help the Organas. He is insistent on staying on Tatooine with Luke. This shows his dedication to Luke, but it also shows how these 10 years have changed him. He is still a Jedi, and he of course still intends on training Luke when the time comes, but concealing his identity is of such great importance that even Leia's safety can't pull him out, at least for a second. He's become so ingratiated in this mission to protect Luke that he's sort of lost his way to some degree. It's more just like a hesitation on his part because protecting Luke has become his sole focus for so long, but once Bail Organa actually comes to Tatooine, Obi-Wan has a little bit more time to consider his options, and he then goes and unburies his lightsaber and Anakin's actually, from out in the desert where he buried them, and the episode ends with Obi-Wan preparing to board a ship to leave Tatooine. Now, one more interesting thing that we are introduced to in this episode is Obi-Wan's nightmares about Anakin. We have a scene scene where he's sleeping and he's having this nightmare, and then he's woken up by it, and he actually reaches out for Qui-Gon, but he hears nothing from him. And then as we feed into episode 2, Obi-Wan actually asks for Qui-Gon's guidance again, and once again, he doesn't hear anything. So it's going to be interesting to see how that develops over this series. I'm anticipating that there will be more to that quest to commune with his master as the show goes on. He's already reached out to Qui-Gon twice in the first 2 episodes, so I definitely do think that we're going to see that unfold as the series goes on, and we will probably hear from Qui-Gon at some point. So overall, episode 1 was a very solid start. I think it does a great job of introducing the Inquisitors and explaining what Obi-Wan has been up to, as well as why he has to leave. And again, I think bringing Leia into this story and making her a key to this series was a really, really great move. And I love how in episode 2, Obi-Wan is allowed to see Leia 10 years after her birth. Granted, it's not on great terms, but I really love the idea that Obi-Wan was actually a part of her life. So now we will officially jump to episode 2. Leia has been kidnapped and she is taken to a planet called Daiyu. Obi-Wan tracks her there, he saves her, but this is feeding directly into the third sister's hand. However, the third sister has gone behind the Inquisitor's back, and the Grand Inquisitor is the leader of the Inquisitors aside from Darth Vader, so that doesn't really fly with him. They arrive on Daiyu as well, and he tells Reva to stand down. Reva has to abide by this request. She can't just go against all the Inquisitors, so she steps out of their way, but she puts a bounty on Obi-Wan. This once again undermines the Inquisitors and feeds her own plan because it forces Obi-Wan into the spotlight and it allows her to find him. After Obi-Wan rescues Leia, she doesn't really trust him. And why would she, right? She doesn't know who he is, but he insists that she come with him and she doesn't really have a choice. But once she sees that there is a bounty out for Obi-Wan, Leia runs away from him because again, she doesn't trust him. She doesn't know who he is. And she doesn't believe that he's a Jedi despite the fact that she saw his lightsaber. Obi-Wan refuses to use the Force because obviously that will just draw more attention to him. So Leia's not buying it and she runs away, and this pulls him further into the light. And then this is when Reva catches his scent. She's officially on his trail now. As Leia is running, she falls off this building and Obi-Wan finally has to use the Force. He reaches out and he catches her and then he lowers her to the ground. So now Leia believes him. She believes that Obi-Wan is a Jedi and that her father did send him to save her. Now earlier on in the episode, we were introduced to this Jedi imposter named Haja, and he actually pops back up a little bit later to help Obi-Wan escape. He gives Obi-Wan the coordinates to this ship that will help get them off-world, and he then tries to distract Reva, trying to convince her that he's the Jedi she's looking for. She obviously knows that he's not Obi-Wan, and she then proceeds to search his mind to find out where Obi-Wan is heading. Flashback to Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan and Leia are heading toward this ship, and Obi-Wan has this moment where he says that Leia reminds him of a great leader who he used to know. I think it was also interesting in episode 1 and episode 2 how we see Leia's curiosity and her defiance is very much like her mother and her father. Leia has a lot of the qualities that both of her parents had, and I think that's really cool to see. And I also think it's cool that in this adventure, Leia is she's finally found herself away from Alderaan. She's never been off of Alderaan before, and finally, again, not on great circumstances, but she has made her way off the planet and she's out seeing this great wider galaxy, and she is just so mesmerized and enamored by everything around her, despite the fact that she's been kidnapped and her life is in very grave danger. Okay, so now Reva tracks Obi-Wan down. She's in the same room as him. Obi-Wan sends Leia ahead so that she can get to the ship, get it ready, and he promises he will be right behind her. Reva is sort of talking to Obi-Wan, trying to lure him out, trying to lure him into a lightsaber duel, and he pulls his lightsaber out and he actually is ready to fight. And as she is talking to him, she reveals to him that Darth Vader is alive. So here we find out that Obi-Wan for these 10 years has not known that Darth Vader survived, and he is terrified when he hears this. The look on his face is just, he's truly mortified. He can't believe that Darth Vader is alive. And Reva tells him, Anakin Skywalker lived. Darth Vader is alive, and she is going to take him to him. She's not here to kill Obi-Wan, she's here to bring him to Darth Vader. At this point, the Grand Inquisitor arrives, and again, he tells Reva to step aside. He is going to take this prize. He is going to capture Obi-Wan and take him back to Darth Vader. And then at that point, a potentially highly controversial moment, Reva stabs the Grand Inquisitor. Obi-Wan takes that opportunity to escape. He gets on the ship and he and Leia get away. Reva chases after him, but she can't catch him, and then she says the line that we saw in the trailer, "You can't win, Obi-Wan, you can't escape him." And then the final closing shot is of Darth Vader in his Bacta tank. So I think we can expect that in episode 3 we are probably going to see Darth Vader fully suited up and ready to go find Obi-Wan now that it is confirmed that he is alive and he is out in the galaxy actually like stirring things up and making contributions against the Empire. So now Obi-Wan is out there and obviously Darth Vader is going to want to find him. Now let's backtrack for a second to the Grand Inquisitor. The Grand Inquisitor in Star Wars Rebels chooses to fall to his death after he is defeated by Kanan Jarrus. But now we see here, it appears as though Reva just killed him. This is obviously a massive, colossal contradiction if Reva really did kill him. But I said if, because I don't think she really did. I assume that the Grand Inquisitor is still going to be alive, somebody's gonna come save him, and he will return down the road. If they go with this and Reva really did kill him, I really don't know what to say. I mean, that's like a pretty massive break in continuity, and because it would be such a big break, I just don't think that's what they're going for. I am fully assuming that the Grand Inquisitor is still going to be alive. But outside of that, I think episode 1 and 2 were absolutely fantastic. I was in absolute awe by episode 1, and I think episode 2 did a great job to build off that, and I think we've set ourselves up very well for a very, very interesting series, and honestly, I couldn't be happier with what we have gotten so far. I am super excited by all of this, and I can't wait to see where the rest of this goes. But that is going to wrap things up for me in this video, so let me know what you guys thought about the first 2 episodes of this series and what your expectations are going forward. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to drop a like to support the channel, subscribe to the channel for future Star Wars content, and remember, the Force will be with you always.